Namaste, my name is Vivekanand. Welcome to this Hangout on Air. Let me start my timer and get going. This is the 13th episode in a series that I have started with a view to help entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of ideas and would like to succeed with lots of projects. As in the previous episode, in this episode, the focus is on processes and stages, and we take a deeper look. I have great pleasure in welcoming my panel of business owners today. On the agenda, as usual, we begin with just a minute, where each panel member takes center stage and gives 60 seconds elevator pitch, followed by a short presentation covering the topic of the day. This week, the story snippet is from Star Trek, The Next Generation, and the episode is called as... It's actually the tagline for every episode where no one has gone before.
Wow, let's go there today.
You may or may believe or may not believe that, but there is an episode with that title. Anyway, after that we shall have a discussion with the panel members, sharing their experiences and insights. I shall then talk about what's coming up in the next episode, and we conclude for today. As in the previous episode, I aim for half an hour, but I would not dare to cut off anyone when the discussion is lively and adding value. As David said in one of his HOAs, when the discussion is flowing, we keep going.
How provocative.
We have come to the just a minute section. Each of us will have a minute each, and we shall give you our 60-second elevator pitch. Within a minute, each of us will try to explain why anyone should contact us, how it would be helpful for them, and how they can contact and connect with us. There will be a penalty if you go over a minute, which is meant to be fun. The penalty is you will have to say the sentence, integrate, simplify life 3 times. Penalty for me would be decided by the panel members because I keep saying the line anyway. Let me start the whole thing going. I have a 1-minute timer set up here. Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. Vivek Technology is my company. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my beliefs with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said, "Simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication." Here's my simple way. Avoid the cowboys, work with the Indian. Let the Indian handle technology, and you live an integrated, simple life. Maybe you have lots of projects and you are struggling to find someone who can integrate and simplify. Contact me through my Google Plus page or my website, wake-technology.com. Hope that came in within 60 seconds. It is our guest's turn now. I shall call out each of your names, pin you on the main screen, and start a timer. It's David's turn. David?
Don't hit the timer yet. I would be remiss if I didn't do 2 things. First of all, welcome my esteemed panelist friend, William Rock, and also to share with the viewers today that I am personally working with Vivek and William on bringing some technology, putting some technology into place. And I want to thank them publicly for the work that they have been doing for me, with me, by me, because of me. And we have some very, very exciting things. But here, I'm ready for my pitch now. My name is Small Biz David, and I have been a small business mentor for over 40 years, solving any small business challenge that you can bring to the table. I will find a solution for you. The reason why I want you to get involved, we have a very, very exciting Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus community. That community next year is going to be publishing books as a group. We are going to be publishing a magazine as a group, and we are going to be assisting each other in the collaboration of our small business, our own small businesses. And maybe if I was over for 60 seconds, integrate, simplify life.
You weren't, but thank you anyway. William, your turn.
William Rock, internet marketing guru on the web, just basically helping out businesses. And what I'm focused on right now is basically the holiday shopping season and getting people ready for the new year with their business marketing plans. So I assist with a lot of the downward funnel from CEOs down to the sales deployment, technologists, all the way to HR. And I like to look at a big picture of a company before I dive in and really see what I got to do to help bring those leads from just online to completion.
Real quickly, Vivek, before you get started, I wanted to ask William, did you get the article that I sent you about holiday retail marketing?
Yes, I did. That was a fantastic article. We should probably put. I think you posted that in the community, didn't you?
I did not post it. I just sent it directly to you because you've been, every time I listen to you, you talk about how important it is for folks to be putting their holiday plans into position. And so it was just coincidental. That article came out last week one day, and I sent it off to you. I want to make sure you got it.
Yeah, I did. Sorry I didn't respond back to you. I think it was an email, right? And most of what I deal with is actually through the Google Plus interface, but you know, email.
Which is a topic of future discussion. I've been reading a lot of stuff. Do we email? Do we message? What is the most effective way to communicate? And that's a future HOA.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for having me on the show. This is I love being on here. I know I've missed a few of them, but very excited to be here, guys.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we have done our just a minute, and we have come to the topic of the day discussion. I shall show you a short presentation. As usual, we begin with the TOTD story, and we shall take detailed look at the remaining process. We covered 6 in the previous episodes. There is 1 remaining. In the previous 3 episodes, we covered 6 processes. Directing project process and starting up project process in episode 10. Initiating project process and managing stage boundary process in episode 11. Controlling stage and manage product delivery process in episode 12, the previous episode. In this episode, I shall talk about the closing project process. All episodes are available on my website at www.wake-technology.com hangouts/prince2.html, and on my YouTube channel as well. The name of my YouTube channel is Wake Tech Integra, all one word as shown here. It would be really helpful if you click on the subscribe button to my YouTube channel and also click on the like button so that I would know to produce what you like most. But we have now come to the story for today.
It's all about the story, Vivek.
Today I shall tell you a snippet from an episode of Star Trek entitled Where No One Has Gone Before. This is a story where a Starfleet propulsion expert, Mr. Kozinski, and someone who is thought to be an assistant are coming on board the Enterprise to do some experiments on the warp engine. However, the equations and notes sent by Mr. Kozinski cannot be understood by the chief engineer on board Enterprise, but Mr. Kozinski appears to be a person who is too full of himself. When asked to explain his theories, he responds with, "I'm saying I'm not a teacher, nor do I wish to be one." Commander Riker has his doubts about Mr. Kozinski's theories. But Mr. Kozinski seems to believe he has all the authority to do whatever he wants. But then Commander Riker disagrees. He then asks for clearer explanation. In PRINCE2 terms, he is checking whether there is a proper business case for the project to go ahead. The mysterious assistant interacts with young Wesley Crusher. Crusher is troubled by the way the warp equation has been configured. So the assistant makes some changes and asks Wesley if the new configuration would do what Kozinski says. Wesley then suggests some more changes and the assistant is impressed. The assistant is not actually what he seems. We'll know more about that shortly. Mr. Kozinski, however, is unable to convince Will Riker. Both Will Riker and the chief engineer are annoyed by the way Kozinski behaves. They don't like him at all. He is a bit more arrogant is the probably harsh word, but that's what he seems to look like. However, as the experiment appears to be harmless, they go ahead and start the experiment. The assistant is helping, and Wesley observes that the assistant seems to phase in and out of existence as he seems to become partially invisible for a short time. Something strange is going on. A lot more strange things happen. Captain Jean-Luc feels that the speed is set to warp 1.5, but then they seem to be going much faster than that. When he checks with Commander Data, the speed is found to be off the scale. Captain orders the ship to be brought to a complete stop, and they find that they are in a very strange place. Apparently, they have traveled millions of light years in a few minutes. Mr. Kozinski claims that he made a wonderful mistake. Wonderful and incredible mistake, he calls it. But Wesley finds that the so-called assistant is not feeling well, and he believes that whatever happened to the ship was part of what happened to the assistant, the so-called assistant. Wesley checks with him whether Kozinski is like he sounds, a joke. The assistant says that Kozinski has sensed some small part of what has happened, but it was him all along, and Kozinski was not really doing much. Wesley asks him about the equations he has put into the warp engine computer. He asks him whether space, time, and thought are not the separate things they appear to be. Wesley says that the formula that was being used said something like that. The assistant tells him never to say that again. Not at your age, in a world that's not ready for such dangerous nonsense, he says. But then he seems to be secretly happy that he found Wesley. They repeat the experiment once again, hoping that the Enterprise would be able to retrace its path back. But instead, they find that the Enterprise has gone forward to a place in the universe that puts them at over 1 billion light years from home. They also find that strange things are happening on the ship. They find that in the location where they are, the world of physics, the physical universe, and the world of ideas is somehow intermixed. So, Captain orders everyone aboard the ship to control their thoughts, because their thoughts become reality. The assistant is ill and he needs medical attention, but the doctor is unable to determine what's wrong with him. However, this assistant has a private conversation with John Luke, and he says that he should encourage Wesley Crusher without interfering in his development. He has found something in Wesley Crusher. He compares Wesley in the spaceship to Mozart with his music. Mozart wrote astonishing symphonies as a small child. He says Wesley is such a person with regard to time, space, etc. Now, let's get back to Earth and present time. I need to do a screen share at this point, and so I shall pin David. David, please share with us your thoughts so far.
Well, first I'm going to ask a question that you don't have to answer right now, but I haven't asked you this to date. Where are you getting your Star Trek episodes, Star Trek graphics? I'm assuming you're pulling them down from YouTube and making screen shares of, or making screenshots of them and using them that way, which is kind of interesting. But you know, the purpose of our discussions in this HOA have been to discuss PRINCE2 and the processes and how they relate to our businesses. But I have to tell you, you threw out 2 ideas during your presentation as you were talking about the specific Star Trek adventure that are really strong statements and lessons in entrepreneurship. And so, as you were making those statements, I was kind of thinking about those, and I probably missed a little bit of the PRINCE2 stuff along the way. But first thing you said that caught my attention, and once again, I think it could be an HOA theme discussion. you said you mentioned that one of the characters, I think Mr. Kaczynski, was arrogant, and you said maybe arrogance is a harsh word, but the first thought that came to my mind as you made that statement was that arrogance may be a part of entrepreneurship, that you have to be a little bit arrogant to think that your idea, your product, your service is the right thing to bring to the marketplace. Now, of course, that arrogance has to be tempered. And folks will pick up on it if it is not tempered. We see lots of examples of arrogance in Google world, I think. Well, I'm amazed sometimes, but be that as it may, I'm not mentoring those folks. And the second thing that you said that really caught my attention, Vivek, was that thoughts become reality, and therefore we must control. The Star Trek leaders thought that they had to control the thoughts, and that's a really powerful statement and powerful concept. And I think once again there's a strong tie to the entrepreneurial spirit of thoughts become reality. We want our thoughts to become reality, but if they become reality, there's the recommendation that they take the systems and processes of PRINCE2 and make them happen. So that's a segue back to you.
Yeah. I mean, adding something more to what you just said. Thoughts become reality, but then the thoughts have to be positive. Thoughts have to be something which we really want. Thoughts have to be only then. Even in the Star Trek story, if they, I mean, I didn't bring up those aspects of the story because it didn't make. I thought the story would be too long, but the point is there were a couple of instances in the story where the Star Trek, the Enterprise crew think of something horrible happening, and as in somebody thinks of what if there is a fire, and then there is a fire right in front of them, and the point with all that is our thoughts have to be positive, and we will have positive thoughts and positive aspects if we use a set process, a set methodology which has been proved to be giving results. So yeah, I agree with you completely.
Vivek, I might make a comment too real quickly.
Yeah.
Please use the graphic on the screen right now, put it into the event stream, and then actually mention, as you did in the beginning of your presentation, how, what episodes you talk about those. It'll be a good way for people to use the graphic and go back and listen to the presentations.
Yeah. We'll do that. Okay. I use a software called as iMindMap, but I'm not using its built-in presentation mode since it takes over the entire screen. Because of that, I can never use it as a presentation tool in a HOA until ThinkBusan, the company that develops iMindMap, changes things. I keep saying that because I keep using the iMindMap software. I keep using, giving credit to the company, but the point is I have to do a lot more than what I should be doing, and it would help if they notice and do changes to the software.
Can I throw something else in right now, Vivek? I'm hearing a project opportunity for you.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a project opportunity for you.
Yeah. Okay. If you think that way.
And if you need my support on it, let me know.
Anyway, to keep the presentation simple, I use screen captures of the mind map. The PRINCE2 manual explains each process by covering purpose, objective, context, and activities. I shall adopt a similar approach by using mind maps. This is a mind map showing all of the 7 processes as defined by PRINCE2. Today I shall be covering the process numbered 7 there. Now this is a mind map of the close project process. Let me zoom into each branch and explain. The purpose of this closing project process is to provide a fixed point where the project products are confirmed as accepted by the users. The purpose is to recognize the achievement of objectives stated in the project initiation documentation. It is also to recognize the fact that there is nothing more to achieve in the project. That's the purpose branch of the mind map. The objective of this process is to verify the user acceptance. The objective is to ensure the users are ready to use the products as the result of the project. The objective is to ensure that the open issues and risks that are yet to be addressed are taken care of. The objective is to make sure that the project board is aware of these aspects. That is the ensure sub-branch that we just saw. The objective again is to review the performance of the project against baseline set at the beginning of the project. It is to assess the benefits realization of the project's products. That is the entire objective branch once again. The context is a clear end to the project. It's also to prevent uncontrolled project extension, because if the project is not closed when it should have been closed, then there is a chance that both parties involved, the supplier and the business owner, may be thinking that this is not yet over, it will go on, there is a scope creep, everything goes on longer than what it should be, and then in the end both parties are bound to fall out with one another because the project should have ended long ago. So there has to be a closing project process when it is appropriate. If it doesn't happen, then both parties will be in trouble. The inputs to this process are the trigger which indicates that the project end is approaching. Product status account indicates everything that is required to be achieved is almost complete. This also comes from the project plan, which has which was part of project initiation documentation. The outputs are the project's products and the updated project initiation documentation. There are 5 different activities. Let's look at them one by one. First activity is to prepare planned closure of the project if indeed the project has reached completion. If that is not the case, if in the unfortunate situation where the project has been prematurely closed, there is an activity that needs to happen, which is premature closure. The point here is whatever that has been achieved so far should not go to complete waste. At the least, the lessons learned register maintained during the project needs to be updated. For example, in the Star Trek story, the experiments on the warp engines had completely unexpected results, and they had to prematurely close the project, and they had to get back to where they started, get back home really. But they did learn from their experiences. That is the prepare branch. Note that the 2 activities mentioned are exclusive to one another. Only one of them is required. The third activity is handing over the products. This is done even when the project is prematurely closed. The project is evaluated as the 4th activity. The project manager and then the project board recommends project closure of the project. In the context of a small business, this would probably mean final payments have to be made to those involved in the project. Now that is the complete activities branch, and we are back at the mind map of the close project process. I have covered a lot of concepts. I know it's quite a lot, and viewers may want to rewind and review it once again later on.
At least once.
All episodes are available on my website at www.wake-technology.com/hangouts/prince2.html and on my YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Wake Tech Integra, all one word, as shown here. It would be really helpful if you click on the subscribe button and also click on the like button so that I would know to produce what you like most. But we have now come to the share experiences section, and both David and William have been waiting patiently. I need to come back into your view by coming out of screen share. I shall pin William. William.
Yes, sir.
Please share your thoughts.
Well, absolutely. I thought that was a great presentation on how you packaged the data together, from the story, as far as even the completion of a project, taking, a distraction and then being able to come back on course, and it's sometimes almost nearly impossible to get back on that course once you've lost track of that course, and that's where this whole project organization chart comes in play. Not at just the corporate level, which a lot of people kind of interpret that to be, but then when you start looking at the small business or even entrepreneur, these processes still could be used at its own level. You can pull apart those pieces. And I took away a couple notes in here, but I'll let David jump in there for a second on his thoughts. And I'd like to come back and just kind of go through some of maybe an example of what I gained out of what you talked to about today?
Mm-hmm. David?
I'm pondering, Vivek. I can understand that a project must be closed because although the other side of that argument is that, and this is how I perceive of what I do as a small business owner, I have an ongoing work in progress. It never ends. And so, you know, but a specific aspect of the project might end, and there's an evaluation period, which is probably implied in your closing, that we evaluate what we did accomplish. Well, you can't close a project until you get agreement from all the members of the project. That you were very clear in that message.
Yeah.
But I wonder if well, it is implied, I would assume, that there is an evaluation process that every member of the project team participates in, because you want to hear everybody, not just the senior people in the project. You want to hear from everybody that participated. But the other thing is that, and is this part of PRINCE2, that you know, we start a project, we do a project, we don't know really what's going to happen until we close the project. I mean, there's things that we want to happen, there's things that should happen, but we don't really know that they're going to happen. That doesn't mean you can't close the project because certain things that were at the beginning of the project you know, didn't happen. As long as there's agreement, once again, among all the team that, okay, we misread it, we did, you know, something, and so we, now, as part of the PRINCE2 process, that same team, maybe at the closing ceremonies, if you will, or maybe a couple days after the closing ceremonies, is there a period of time or a discussion where we say, okay, this is what this project did, and we think that there needs to be a new project based upon our learnings of this project that we just closed. Is that implied, or is that part of the process?
It is both. What you're saying is, when you start a project, you should be clear about what you want the project to achieve. In fact, the PRINCE2 manual goes into details as to different types of projects. Some of them may be that some of them may not even give you a return on investment, or but they may be required. I mean, for example, there may be a case where you need to have a project to increase, just to give an example, to increase the morale of the staff. The project could be take your entire team on a holiday somewhere. I don't know. I'm just thinking. That may be a project, and you will not get any financial returns out of that, but you will get better staff morale. The staff who probably were thinking of going away or not really being productive enough in your organization, because they have been they probably feel they are not listened to, they are not valued enough, they are more demotivated for some reason. But this could be a project. When you do that, you will not get any financial returns back, but you will get the benefits, which are increased staff morale. And when you take the whole, whole team together to a different location on holiday, you will find that afterwards they will work as a team in a much better way. They will work together in a much better way. Those are the things. The point is, all those benefits, if you record them before you start the project. I mean, these are the things which would happen in any such activity. You take a team elsewhere, I mean, on a holiday. These are the things that you expect to happen.
And to the point that you're making there, I mean, you can take the example I wanted to share earlier. It goes right into, thinking of disaster recovery. Simple things of disaster recovery. What happens in your business from a day-to-day operational standpoint? What happens if one of those team members can't actually perform their job, or they do leave and move on? How do you prepare for that? And that same process, you have to have a plan to get to where that's going to be, and those are small plans. You can take the holiday shopping season again. I'm going to bring that up, David, again. E-commerce. Okay, so disaster recovery plan. People are getting ready to light a brand new e-commerce website right before the holidays, but most of them don't even realize what's actually out there as far as Google algorithms and things that they're going to have to recover for them. And they don't put those plans and strategic things into that plan. So I think there's other elements that a business owner needs to say, okay, here's my team, here's the project, but then what happens if something goes down? What happens if we go November 1st, right before Black Friday around here, whatever it is, and I think it's November 1st. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. I don't go shopping on Black Friday. But for e-commerce, that's a huge day. Okay, so if all of a sudden maybe Google doesn't rank you for now, or all of a sudden your site goes down, how do you get that back? How do you, that's something that has to go into that plan. And how do you take that segment of that plan and then move into, okay, I need to probably dispatch a different team to address this that I didn't see in the plan. So I think there's always room to grow, right, in that plan?
Well,
you can't get stuck. It's just moving forward and then reorganizing your thoughts.
And you bring up a good example, because you and I have had this discussion, William, that most companies don't have any kind of disaster recovery plan in place, let alone a good disaster recovery plan in place. And to your question, if things blow up on Black Friday, the answer to the question is no, you are not going to make them back. You've lost the opportunity. Black Friday is the opportunity to be at your very best. I had a concept, Vivek, and it's a concept that big business as well as small business, all business, and it's probably an ongoing project that has different phases, different definitions, and that is the voice of the customer. How do we, today in our business, how do we listen to the voice of the customer? And B, do we have proper programs in place that properly listen to the voice of the customer? But that's kind of a process, a concept that goes on forever, because our customers are our lifeblood.
I tend to disagree slightly on that.
Okay, let's go for it.
When you say something goes on forever, nothing should go on forever.
The voice of the customer should.
No, for the simple reason that when you start something, you have a specific aim in mind. You want to achieve certain thing, whatever that is. Maybe you want to achieve, let's say, you want to get 1,000 people as members of the community. Just an example at the top of my head. And you can start that as a project. That does not mean that when you cross 1,000 members, you continue the project. The project has no meaning because the project was to get 1,000 members. You got them, so why you need the project anymore? You don't need it. You probably, what you're thinking probably is, to do with the people involved in that project. You probably need them, but you need to put them in a new project. Maybe you would say, okay, we have achieved 1,000 members now. Now let's aim for 1,500 members. And the things that you need to do at that stage are probably completely different from what you did to achieve the first 1,000 members. So because of that difference, you cannot apply the same thing again. You have to have some change. Because of that change, because of the magnitude of the change, maybe you probably need to say that it's a different project.
I'm not going to take issue with that at all. Absolutely, but you take and that kind of goes back to an earlier question that I had, that we get learnings from the most important customer in any business is the first customer. Okay. What did it take? What did it take to get that first customer? What did I do to get first customer? So I want to replicate what I did to get that first customer so I can get the second customer. Back to your example of okay, so we've got 500 members. What does it take to get 1,000 members? Well, it's very simple. It gets every one of those 500 members to invite one friend to come in, and 500 plus 500 equals 1,000. So, and that goes back to my opening statement that I make on the community page, is there's strength in numbers. That's the premise, that there's strength in numbers. That's not to say that, well, the three of us clearly have demonstrated that things can happen with three people. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks among the three of us. But if there were twice as many people involved, would there be twice as much stuff done? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it goes back to, and you said it. You have to very clearly establish in the very earliest stages of the project a project definition, and you have to stay to that project definition. And once you achieve the objectives of that project definition, stop it, end it, summarize it, and then move on to the next project.
Yeah, the major advantage of that is you summarize what you already said it. You summarize what you have achieved. You look at what worked. You find out what worked well for you, and you also look at what didn't work well for you. Probably in the next phase or next project, you probably don't do that. Whatever didn't work, probably you don't do that at all, or maybe you do it in a different way. So that is the objective of closing the project.
I think it goes back to also the warp speed. I mean, you also got to go into the user. You brought that into your presentation. User acceptance is what we're talking about now. It's the concept of one-to-one marketing is kind of gone, but one-to-many is very powerful, and we've seen that. But even with numbers, it's so kind of relevant. If I'm looking for a lead generation site, or I'm looking for a simple project like taking my staff out and having a gathering, a team event, I still even if a team event, I still have to go, okay, my objective is this. I'm going to take them to maybe a paintball park. We're going to actually have this many rental vans. This is what I have to clear to make sure that everybody has the safety gear. I mean, there's plans that you have to make sure that the process goes before they even get to the field. And then once they get to the field, that's a whole next level of process. What is the safety briefing? Is everybody attending? Is everybody paying attention to that? Once they get out on the field, everything working? So it changes because, okay, well, one paintball gun may malfunction and you got to go back and get another one, but that doesn't mean the plan is ended, right? It's just modified a little bit. If you run off track, you still have to pull yourself back to the main project, though. So what is the objective? The end of the day is the goal of making sure everybody had a good day and everybody had an experience with each other that they can bring back to the office, and then bring that back to me as an employer, saying I've got motivation back in my staff that kind of got a little dry, you know. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people also start to do around the holidays. And most companies just only focus around taking care of their people. And I'm not saying everybody, but they do the holidays and that's it. That's all they want to do. But I think throughout the year, you need to take, let's just take the team thing. Take a project, say, out of every quarter for my business, I'm going to take and do a morale boost. Okay, well, how am I going to do that plan? Because that's going to be a bigger segmentation of an entire plan, right, guys? So how do we use some of those examples for the smaller but important projects that we need to accomplish?
David, when you said first, when you talked about the first customer and so on, it reminded me of a YouTube video which
I thought a Star Trek episode.
No, a YouTube video which I watched yesterday. It is Seth Godin. He was giving 5 points. Let me cover a couple of them. First one, he said, do it on purpose. And he says, how am I laying tracks for my clients to be better clients? How am I working to make my boss a better boss? So he talks about whatever you do when you have, when you do it on purpose, you know what you are trying to do, and then you work towards that. Then he says you will more likely to get success. And then he then says, tell stories that resonate with those in charge. He talks about, he says, no need to tell some strange story, but tell a story which resonates with the prospective client or whoever it is. It should resonate with them. For example, okay, I am a Star Trek fan. I see a lot of things in Star Trek. I see a lot of philosophy, a lot of even PRINCE2, all of that, yes. But if someone hates Star Trek for whatever reason, and if I go and try to tell him a Star Trek story,
not going to listen to it.
Immediately he or she would be turned off, and so I will have to tell stories that resonate with whoever is going to affect the change which I want.
I go through that same kind of process in something very, very basic. A couple times a week, I teach an exercise class, and part of my philosophy about exercise is the background music that is played. How motivational is that background music? So I use a lot of fast music, 130 beat music. Well, I have to think about who the members of the class are going to be, because some of them may, they like that upbeat stuff because it does motivate them, but there might be certain songs within that might distract from the purpose of why we play music during exercise. So I have to be cognizant of that all the time. Before we end here, I'm going to challenge you, Vivek, with something. I'd love to challenge you. You said that this could be the last episode of PRINCE2, and I don't want it to be the last episode of PRINCE2. I think it's been such a great learning process. Selfishly, for me, I've learned so much just by participating in the discussion, and I know that there are takeaways that anybody listening to any one of the 13 episodes that we have done, there's something in there that you can take away. And if you take away 1 point out of each episode, you're moving your business forward. So my challenge to you is going to be, and I'll work with you to make it happen. Let's take something that is important to small businesses, and let's take it through the PRINCE2 process.
Yeah, case studies is one thing we can definitely do. Yes.
Yes, and it's a case study. That's all it is. And I'll throw out there a theme because it's my theme, and I think it's extremely important to all small businesses. Now is the time that we should be thinking about what we're going to be doing on January 1st, 2015. Not wait until January 1st, 2015 to start thinking about what we're going to do for 2015, but plan. What is our plan? What is our strategy? And work on it now, develop it now. Make that the project right now. Bring closure to it on January 1st when, hey, okay, now the plan everything has to work. So that would be potentially a good case study, I think, to just take it through the PRINCE2 process. And you know, the other thing it does, it makes it relatable. I mean, you know, we've said this almost every week. In the very beginning, I didn't understand PRINCE2 at all, and you know that because we had those discussions, you and I. But each week, I'm learning something more as you've broken it down, and we focus to the different aspects of PRINCE2. So let's build a small business case study, whatever it might be, and make that the next episode.
I think that's a great idea, guys. And then to top off on what David was just talking about with the business plan, I mean, once you build it, you still have to deploy it. So, you know, make sure, like, a lot of people will start to do their business plan beginning in December. And typically that's kind of what I've seen in traditional large enterprises as well as small, mid-to-sized companies. But think about what you guys want to accomplish. Go back in history of what happened this last year, and where can you improve, and where can you maybe deploy some of the things that we've spoken about in these episodes, and how can you pull that into your business going into the future of 2015 and beyond?
William, I've clearly defined for my business. I mean, I just don't talk about stuff, I do it. I have clearly defined 5 business objectives for 2015. And I'm putting the plan together right now for those 5 business objectives, and they're essentially, they're new, so to speak. They're not, you know, not necessarily what worked and what didn't work. Although I'm using in my own mind what worked and what didn't work, and let's take upon what worked and extend it and build upon it. But you know, I'm going through that process. You're absolutely right. If they do it at all, they do it at all.
And then we all do this stuff. We're trained. We've known how to do this for many, many years. We've seen the opportunities of need for us to learn those type of skill sets, and we're those type of people that want to move up that ladder and go as far as we can possibly go and teach as much as we can teach. But going back to the principle of this whole thing is, if you're not willing to do it, you may end up failing. So.
Let's see what's coming up next week.
Yes, sir.
Next week, as I said, the original plan was it would be the last one, but as David says, probably we would continue. I shall cover an entire project from beginning till end, all processes, all the triggers and so on, and hopefully there would be more episodes which would cover case studies and so on. Yeah, I am willing to take this forward and make it yeah, a long-lasting series, if you will. We may, however, have to, or maybe need to change the timing. I don't know. I need to see. Maybe a little bit of change, but I think, yeah, it should be possible. I am keen to take it forward. Yes.
And I think a time is not going to. I think more people are just wanting the knowledge, and that's the beauty of the replay too. So, if they can't catch it live, then they can catch it always.
Maybe next week. And I think I know what's on your mind, Vivek, in the statement that you just made. But maybe for next week we could take all the questions that people have posted in the event stream, or questions that we asked folks, or questions that you might have had private discussions on with stuff that you were talking about, and then just deal with those questions. Just make that a session of question and answer.
I like that, Dave. I think that really kind of resonates back to the organization of what we talked about in the beginning of the show, which would be to put together these slides like you have in the past, and then just kind of archive, okay, this is where I talked about it in this point too. So giving it all those different elements, but then when you're going through all that information, you're going to be able to pull that into a spreadsheet with the questions, and then we can start to address a lot of those.
I can see the wheels turning in Vivek's head there. That it's potential. I mean, that particular session that we're talking about, it's going to take some time to prepare that one. Certainly more time than it takes for Vivek to do one of the weekly episodes, because he's only dealing with part of the whole as opposed to the whole, and so it's a longer. But you know what, Vivek, it doesn't matter. Just as long as we're presenting good, valuable content, it doesn't matter if it takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 10 weeks, 100 weeks, whatever keeps the folks coming back and asking questions and learning and moving their businesses forward because of information that we've shared with them.
And that said, we've enjoyed your knowledge, and I think that's kind of an addiction on its own, because yes, I know I talk about this to CEOs all the time and executives, but I've learned so much out of these episodes that I even plan to go back and rewatch the entire series. And I've already started to share the series, but what I wanted to see us to do is really put together a package where we can share that series to other executives simply.
Well, and this series is perfect for you, William, and the kinds of clients that you have. You deal in projects. That's what you do. And so it's really pertinent for you, all this information, as you set up your your mind map of that specific project that you're working on. I mean, it's really, and what it's done for me is I don't do enough of that. And so what it's done for me is to help me think through. I mean, it's logical. All this stuff isn't crazy stuff. It's very, very logical how you do the different things that you need to do.
We're building our Starfleet. I mean, our Starfleet is coming together, right? Oh, different show, sorry.
Okay, we have actually now come to the closing comments, and we are actually running over time a bit, but yeah.
My comment will take 10 seconds. Avoid the cowboys and hire the Indians.
William?
Build your business plan soon.
Mm-hmm.
No. Better no. You got to be more precise than that, William. No, when you say build it soon, oh, is that a week? Is that build your business plan today? Start the process today.
See, I knew you'd close it with that. See, this is the important part that David brings to the show, learning, from this man also. I mean, again, I know we're going over time, but testimonial to both of you guys. I mean, geeks, far beyond geeks. So.
Hey, Vivek, we've come of age, Vivek. We're far beyond geeks. Man, you just brought a smile to my mother's face because she always asked me, David, what is it that you do? And now I can tell her, Mom, I'm a geek.
Awesome. I'm glad I could assist on that one. But again, you guys, it's been so fantastic, and I can't wait for the next batch of shows and to be part of those as well. So, again, thanks for having me on the show, and this has been a very cool eye-opener for me that I can deploy in 2015.
Thank you. I'm sure you would want to know more, as this is a series which is planned to be going on forever. There is more to come. Thank you for watching the show. Do please share the link to this show on Google Plus and YouTube and so on. You can reach me through my Google Plus profile or through my website, wake-technology.com. My closing comments, as usual, are integrate, simplify life. Thank you.